Hello, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday night live, in which you have the ability to reach out and ask questions to our Hundredfold leadership. And tonight we have Rashi and Rich. However, tonight we're going to be talking about a specific subject, which is prayer versus meditation. But just as a reminder, the Hundredfold is about a group of people that are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So that's what we're here for. We're here to join you on your journey as you're finding your true identity on your spiritual path. And hopefully this resource, whether it's tonight, whether it's our Facebook group, our Sundays with Doug, where I'm going through some Bible studies, which is talking about actually prayer, it turns out, and really what the true meaning is. And that's called the seed and the sower that we're talking about on Sunday morning. So with that said, I'll do a quick introduction of what we're going to be talking about. And again, it's prayer versus meditation. There was a video that I did yesterday that I uploaded onto Facebook, which is also on YouTube. And I will put the link to that video down below. But it described my 30 years of Christianity. And it described how, for the majority of my Christian life, my prayer life, not meditation, but my prayer life was all about me confessing, and just it's a one-way discussion with God. Please grant me this, help me with that, help me to avoid this. A lot of it, again, had to do with confession. And what I discovered was that there was a verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:17, which says, pray without ceasing. So I thought, oh, okay, so there's more than just kneeling by a bed, folding your hands, saying a prayer at night or in the morning or at the dinner table. It's actually a continual dialogue. But then there was some added frustration with that, because in Psalms it talks about if I hide iniquity in my heart, he doesn't hear my prayers. So I was at a real dichotomy, and what am I supposed to do? It wasn't until I found out about the old covenant and the new covenant, and the new covenant said, your sins and lawless deeds I will remember no more. Jesus paid to show me my true identity, which is I was already forgiven. And that when he was on the cross, he said, it is finished. So what it turned into was an identity problem. I didn't know or remember who I really was. So then all of a sudden, since my sins were gone, the relationship opened, and I was able to have an open dialogue with God, and there was a relationship there. It wasn't just, call it a magic genie or whatever, you rub the bottle, but it was a relationship. Then over the last several years, I've introduced meditation. And what I have found with meditation is that you go inward, because that's where God resides. He's in your heart. And again, referencing the video from yesterday, we are the temple of God. We are the dwelling place of God. His spirit is in us. He's living his life in me, through me, as me. And Galatians 2:20, I've been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So when I discovered that new element about my identity, there's no separation. There's no God's up there and I'm down here. It's he's in here, he's in me and living his life through me. So the meditation turned into me going inward and really connecting with that spirit in a whole new way. So that's what meditation is meant for me, is just that connection with God, where our spirits are joined. They already are joined, but I'm quieting my mind so that I have that connection, and I can feel it, I can sense it, and I can be it. It's a state of being, basically. So there's an interesting verse that I'd like to share with you, and it talks about this very thing. And let me share my screen real quick. And it's Philippians 4, 6, 7, and 8. And what's fascinating about this is it both has prayer and meditation. And I'm hoping you guys can see my screen, right? Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Notice heart and mind. We need to have a heart-mind connection. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. So here we have in the Bible talking about prayer and meditation. So when we talk about prayer versus meditation, what we're talking about is what's the differences. It's not that we should do one and not the other. We really should be doing both. And Philippians clearly points that out. But they have different roles or different functions, if you will. And we'll talk about that more with Rashi and Rich here. So let me take that off the screen. So that's kind of my background, and I have been doing meditation for several years, and I have found benefits from it, both mentally and physically. I'm not saying I do it every single day. However, lately I have been, just because I'm kind of on a new program, if you will, and I do sense a calmness, a peace that comes into my life when I do the meditation. It also kind of slows the day down for me. It's not as fast paced, and I've been enjoying it, and I would highly encourage all of our hundredfold members to participate in some sort of meditation, and we'll have some ideas about where to go and how to do that. But that's been my experience. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Rashi. And Rashi, maybe you could provide maybe some of your history, some background on meditation for you, and what meditation means to you.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everybody. So I grew up in the Hindu religion, and growing up, I was always told to kind of recite certain mantras or certain phrases, and that was my teaching about prayer. That was what I was taught as a prayer. You can sit down and just repeat these mantras and essentially get in touch with God. The other way that I was taught is going to a temple or a church. I've been to churches as well many times in my life, but for some reason I would never connect to any sort of place of worship or any sort of institution, just because I felt like I just felt like God's not there, or there's not any kind of physical entity or even a spiritual entity. And maybe that was just me not being able to kind of understand what was happening. And so now, I as I've gotten older, as I've kind of transitioned into kind of understanding what God is about, just a few years ago, I would pray, but it was more of a request. It was more of begging, for more like materialistic things or things that quite frankly didn't really matter. And it was more of asking than just being grateful for what I already have. And so now, ever since I've joined the Bible study with Doug, thanks to one of my really good friends, Katie, because I saw, if you go back into my origin story, I've kind of talked a little bit about that, but I sensed this transformation in her and a sense of calmness. And I kind of wanted to understand where that was coming from. And so I asked her if I could join her Bible study, didn't want to intrude, but she was delighted that I was interested. And so the very first meeting that I attended, or that I interacted with, participated in, we were talking about the tabernacle and the temple of God. And that really, really resonated with me, and still resonates with me till this day, because there was, growing up all throughout my life, there was always this separation, right? Just like Doug talked about, there's a separation that God is an entity that's outside of me, and is this authoritative person, that, you know, wants this and this and this done until, you know, and then you'll be able to get in touch with him and or receive the things that you've asked for. But ever since that Bible, that particular study, and learning about the tabernacle and the temple of God, my whole perception's changed, where there's no separation. God is not outside, he's within. And we really are the dwelling place of God. We're the temple of God. And just again, working, and I never looked at prayer and or meditation and or any sort of dialogue with God as building a relationship with God. I never had this concept in my mind, and this is all new to me. And so ever since I started looking at it as each and every day is an opportunity to build that relationship and strengthen it and strengthen the connection with God, it's a whole new ball game, you know. I want to be better with my body, so I'm much more gentle with my body. I'm much more respectful of my body, whereas before it was, you know, like, whatever, you know, like you only live once, you know, you have that kind of mentality at least I did as I was growing up, that you only live once, you know, hey, party hard, you know, do whatever you want. But now it's like, no, I need to take care of this, because if I really want God to dwell, he is dwelling in me. And if he's dwelling in me, I need to take care of this vessel, right, that is hosting him and hosting my spirit. And so looking at that, it's completely changed. And so now with prayer, it's not so much of a one-way dialogue. It's not so much of a begging, like requesting God, like, hey, you know, get me, you know, I really want a nice car, God, like, you know, get me, you know, make that happen. Or, you know, I want, you know, $100,000 in my bank account, God, you know, something like that. It's not that way. It's just, it's more of being thankful for what I already have, and just feeling that feeling of just achievement, of just love and gratitude. And then also listening, right? I'm listening for my spirit, and I'm listening for that spirit to talk to me and get in touch with me, right? And now as far as meditation, I'm new to this, and new, I really mean this is in the past month, I've really taken it up and consistently been doing it. And I've kind of tried to learn from different aspects, different people, and everybody has their own way of doing it. You know, some people want the breath, they want to focus on the breath, and or, you know, they want to teach us about chakras, and or say certain things when you're meditating, like affirmations, like saying, you know, like, I am strong, I am grateful, I am this, and I'm that. And as of just actually yesterday, I came across somebody that kind of questioned all of us, you know, asking us, like, why don't we meditate on God? And, you know, he says, if we really want to connect with him, and if we really want him to manifest in our lives and be here with us, then why not meditate on him? And so I found that very intriguing. And, you know, he just says, picture him in front of you, you know, feel that he's there, and just take a moment and just take it all in, take in the imagery, and then really just have a conversation, or just think of all the things that you have because of him, right? So, I mean, today was the first day I tried it, and it was interesting, you know, but again, it's going to take that practice. It's going to take time to not necessarily perfect it, but definitely strengthen that connection and strengthen that manifestation, right? So, so it's an interesting journey with meditation. And through meditation, I actually try to incorporate prayer with it, right? So where I'm like, before it was like, you know, oh, please, you know, like, you know, do this for me, and, you know, make my life awesome. And whereas now I'm just like, no, it's my responsibility. And I'm saying, I am strong. I am financially abundant. I am, you know, a perfect reflection of God. You know, saying all these things. And when I'm reiterating them, it's very interesting, because I'm also training that a certain aspect of my mind, right? And so if I'm, for example, even throughout the day, if I'm not meditating and I'm in kind of like a stressful situation, and or you know, just kind of having a rough day, I just take a moment to put myself in that feeling again, the feeling during meditation, and that just the
Nice.
calm and the peace, right?
Yeah.
And just those affirmations kind of run through my mind, you know. Like for example, I'll give you a small example. So this morning I was, you know, um, never been physically fit, you know, like haven't been most of my life. And as of late, I've really been focusing again, like because of that tabernacle temple of God, I've been really taking care of my body. And so I go on this, I used to go on this walk. It's been about a year and a half. I've been going on a walk around my block, and it's about 5 miles. And I'll go on this walk and I, you know, stay in shape. And I was never really able to jog it. And it was always my goal. Like you know, I want to be able to do it. And so recently I've been able to jog the whole thing, and I've just been so proud of myself. Right. And so this morning was my third time that I was able to accomplish this. But as I got to almost like 3/4 of the way, I was like, man, I can't do this. It's so hard. Like, you know, there were a few days in between since I had done it last. And so I was like, man, how did I do it last time? You know? And then as I was like, just kind of slowing down, I was like, I affirmed to myself, I said, I am strong. You know, I am co-creator. I am, you know, I am a perfect reflection of God. And that just got me through it, you know? And at the end, it just was such a great feeling. So even in the most difficult situations, yeah, I just, you know, I really try to kind of put myself back in that place where I'm at most peace. And that is during the meditation and when I'm reciting and reiterating those affirmations. And so it really helps me out.
So Rashi, you had mentioned that this meditation is new for you.
Yes.
That typically is the typical prayer, and now you've been doing it more often. What changes have you seen within or without?
Absolutely.
I mean, you gave the example of the running and jogging and that, but as far as anything else?
Yeah, just inner strength really, and self-belief, because I always was self-doubt, right? Like self-doubt, I was full of self-doubt. I always lacked self-confidence. You know, I never kind of believed in myself, right?
Yeah.
And now, ever since I've had this, again, strengthening that connection with God and working on this relationship, I just have this different feeling because I know there's someone supporting me regardless of the circumstances, right? So I have this, you know, person or this entity that's with me at all times. And just that sense of peace is very powerful to me. And it's really given me the chance to kind of believe in myself that I am able to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And I take the example of Jesus. I mean, look at just what he was surrounded by, the circumstances he was surrounded by, and even then he was able to get through it and or was able to sacrifice himself for the greater good. So and it was interesting because I was telling you earlier as well, just like how when he initially chose his disciples, he chose non-believers, right? And I didn't understand that literally until yesterday. It just kind of hit me. And I said, I was pretty much a non-believer, you know, and never really had a relationship with God. But now that I am, there's nothing else that I want. You know, there's nothing else that I really want to prioritize besides this, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, along with family and the other, yeah. But
Yeah.
this has become of equal importance, just as the other things have.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely one of the things. And the other thing is really just, you know, mental clarity, right? Where I'm able to kind of take care of the tasks throughout the day in a better way. And of course, and also react to things in a certain way. And just, again, work, you know, I understood that I need to work on the relationship with myself through God, with God, by my side, within me, through me, as me. And, you know, just strengthen that each day. So.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Because it does come down to unity, that you're one. And meditation for me is reminding myself that I'm one and that there is no separation.
Yes.
Because we are busy, we are hectic. So when we know that and we do that, then as we go throughout our day, as you've got the kids or you got the laundry, you've got whatever, you're doing it with him. You didn't leave him back there. He's doing it with you. You're doing it together.
Yes.
So meditation reminds us of that, so that throughout the rest of the day, you use the term, we take him with us, and that's true. And it's not like he's beside us, but he's like in us, and
Yeah.
he's experiencing his life through me.
Yes.
Right. So as I am shopping, he is shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. So
Yeah.
Rashi, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, and I really liked what you said yesterday in your video about prayer, of course, like being a request and whatnot, but meditation being a deliberate attempt, right? A
Yes.
deliberate action that we take to really sit in silence with God. And whereas before it was more of an obligation, right? Like, oh, I have to get up and do this again, or, like, oh, I don't have time. I have to take 20 minutes out. I could be doing 20 minutes of something else kind of thing.
Yep.
But now it's more of like, no, I really want to do this. It's very much intentional, right? And so it's a totally different feeling.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Rashi.
Thank you.
All right, Rich. So we've been kind of going through just our general history, background, our experiences with prayer, and then how meditation has been introduced into your life and what impact it's had on you. So, Rich, what would you like to share?
All right. Well, I'd say that my prayer life has changed dramatically as my understanding of my true identity has changed, right? So my prayers used to always be out of, I'll say, just fear and lack, right? I need this, I want that, I need you to do this for me. Kind of what Rashi was talking about earlier, right? But today it's still a conscious relational dialogue, right? A dialogue of what I would call creator to creator, right? So if we are Elohims, if we're little gods, and our job, and we have the ability to create our lives, right? So today when I talk, it's not he's out there and I'm here, it's he's in me. We're creating my life together. So prayer is really my dialogue of creator to creator. My prayers today are very much, I'll say, prayers of gratitude, right? And the reason for that is I don't really ask God for too much of anything. I'm just grateful for the things that I have and the things that I will create into existence. The gratitude for me is that language of faith. We don't say thank you unless we actually have it, right? So if gratitude is a language of faith, and faith is God's love language, the most effective prayer for me is being able to basically just have these prayers of gratitude from creator to creator, right? So then there's no fear, there's no lack. It's just this journey that I get to, walk with my creator.
Yeah, in fact, you're fulfilling Philippians 4, 6, and 7, where it says, pray with thanksgiving, right? So you're already thanking him for that answered prayer because you already have it, right?
Yeah. So I would say that's for me is the prayer side, right?
Yep.
But what I would say is I've shifted, and to me, when I have my visualization board, like here's the way I see my life going, here's what I want to create for my life, that is my prayer list, right? And I believe that God will allow me to create whatever I choose to create, right? That's what he allows us to do, to believe that into existence. I know that probably flies in the face of what a lot of Western Christianity is going to believe, but it's right there in the Bible. It says it. And when you get to the Hebrew, it's right there, right? And so my prayer life has become not something that's like drudgery, like I've got to go talk to God and I've got to worry about making sure I'm all confessed up and so he'll hear me. It's very much like, again, like creator to creator, like, let's go do this, right? So I don't operate as a victim anymore, hoping that God will answer my prayers and not really having any true faith anyway, which he tells you, if you don't have that, you're going to be tossed around like a boat in the ocean, right? You've got to believe. And that belief is that gratitude. So for me today, and I don't know how far you want to go with this, but I mean, it's really more about meditation. The prayer is with the conscious mind, and the meditation is with my subconscious mind, right?
Right.
So meditation, right? It means to contemplate, to reflect. I mean, the definition I like the most is to become familiar with. And for me, it's just about being in his presence. So the purpose when I meditate, it's the world around us, what it serves to do, and you talked about this, that meditate just reminds me, right? The world around us seeks to, at all points, show us that we're separate from God, and we're separate from ourselves even. Meditation is that ability to get out of the conscious mind and get to the subconscious mind. The purpose of meditation is to slow down your brain, and to slow down your brain waves and get beyond the thinking and the analytical mind, right? From this overactive, stressed out conscious mind, and get to what I'll call the relaxed subconscious mind, right? So when I can go to the subconscious mind, which is the seat of Christ, this is where the God spark is, where the spirit meets the body. That is the subconscious mind. This is where the true power of the spirit is realized in our lives. So I have to make that choice to what I'll call slide down the ladder of consciousness, right? To go from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is where the brain's operating system is. These are where all of our beliefs about everything in life, and most of the beliefs that we have were beliefs that were given to us. These are the programs that run us. This is where they exist. And if I want to change my life, I've got to change my beliefs. In order to change my beliefs, that path has its beginning and its end in the subconscious mind, where I sit with Christ. But meditation, I can't really get there through prayer because that's the conscious mind.
Yeah,
meditation allows me to go to the right, the beta and alpha brain waves, right? Getting to the subconscious mind through meditation is how we kind of jack into the program, if you will, and begin to rewrite our beliefs. And to truly understand, I think, getting all of the stuff out of the conscious mind, filtering all that out, getting to the conscious mind is where I can hear Christ the most clearly, right? So instead of interacting with God through prayer, like, hey, this is what I want to create. This is what my needs are. This is what I want. The meditation becomes much more about just being with, right? Just realizing, and when I'm with Christ and when I'm there with him, just for an hour sitting. And I never did that with prayer. Prayer to me was always, I'll check in, I'll give you 5 minutes, give you all my list, make sure you've got the list, God. Okay, great. I'll be back with my next list tomorrow.
Check the box. Yeah.
Right. But when I just get to sit there with God and I can get all of I'll say the crap out of the way, all right? I realize that I already have everything that I need. When I get that rational, analytical brain out of the way, then all of these answers that are already within us, they're allowed to reveal themselves because I'm not getting in the way, right? So prayer was always about, I say it's a dialogue, but even the definition of prayer, if you look at all of the definitions, it's talking to God. Whereas meditation for me was the first time that I sat and just decided to be with God, be with Christ, and let God talk to me, right? And it was just me listening, not me asking for anything, just being as pure consciousness with God.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, it's been, it's been life-changing because, but again, part of that became, it started with understanding the true identity that you were teaching, for the past couple of years, realizing that we are one, that I am the creator. And when I want to go hang out with the creator, I've got to get out of my conscious mind. And, that's where meditation comes in.
Oh, very good. Yeah, and just to attest, just watching Rich's life over the last several years, it's been amazing to see the transformation in him, and also watching the transformation in Rashi's life. So it's been very exciting to watch that. So on a deeper level, Rich, what happens when you meditate? What happens maybe in our chemistry or in the mind, in the brain? Can you describe some of that?
All right. So there's so many things that happen, and so I can not go all, quantum physics, neuroscience, nerd geek on you. I'll simply say this, like there's a couple things that it really does, right? And I'm going to go a little bit deep, but one of the number one things it does, and this is what I think people really need to clue into, is that it makes your immune system stronger, right? So everyone, our autonomic nervous system is comprised of two parts, and I'm not going to go too deep. okay? The sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. Both of these systems work together to make our body run. So the sympathetic nervous system is what controls our fight or flight response system. This is the thing that raises our blood pressure, it raises our heart rate, it contracts and the blood cells, it constricts our veins. It's the thing that works against us when we're doing fight or flight. The issue today is that most Americans exist in a stress response state, right? This fight or flight state is 70% of our waking hours, meaning 70% of the time that you're using your conscious mind, you're in a stress state, which completely and totally overloads your sympathetic nervous system. So all of the news, the religion, the politics, the social media, all the stuff that we just constantly choose to allow to bombard us, it causes these continual releases of cortisol and adrenaline or epinephrine straight into our gut microbiome, which happens to be the seat, the foundation of our immune system, right? So over time, this continual stress and these chemical releases, they just destroy the immune system. It makes us prone to all these viruses and diseases and sicknesses. And all of this stuff we end up doing with our thoughts and what we allow in. Mm-hmm. So, but meditation activates the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And this is a system, again, part of the autonomic nervous system with the sympathetic, but the parasympathetic counters the adverse effects of the overworked sympathetic nervous system. This is the part of the nervous system that restores relaxation, and it lowers heart rates, right? It lowers blood pressure. It opens up the veins. It basically allows the cells not to contract, right? So it's going to reduce stress levels, right? Also, but one of the more important things that it does, it also will significantly increase when we meditate, and all the scientific studies show this, it significantly increases the levels of immunoglobulin A and D, these are the antibodies. These are the body's best defense systems against things like the coronavirus, right? If you make sure that those two things are in high supply, you're never gonna have to worry about a virus, right? They'll be squashed as soon as they get in, right? So the immune system, number one, right? Because you're basically activating that parasympathetic nervous system to work for you. But the other thing it allows you to do, it allows you to heal yourself, right? So meditation allows you to upregulate your genetic code. And then, again, we do this by thought alone, but our conscious mind is so jacked with all of the things that are going on, right? Meditation allows us to get to the subconscious mind and tap into God's power, right? This is an amazing gift that God has given us to heal ourselves. So what we know today is that only 5% of the global population has a genetic defect by birth alone. The remaining 95% of genetic defects are by our thoughts and by our environment, right? Only 5% by birth. Now this goes against what we were taught as we were growing up, right? It was like, hey, well, it's just your genes. There's nothing you can do about it. Yep. What we know from science today is that's just not, it's not true. Yep. So meditation helps us to basically to upregulate this genetic code so that we're not mutating and causing these diseases and sicknesses and all these different things that come from basically downregulating our genes by our thoughts, right? So meditation helps us to change the way we think. It helps us to counteract the effects of all these stress responses, and it literally allows us to change our genetic code, right? So there's a lot more that it does, but those are two of the main things that it does. And for those reasons alone, spend the 20 minutes a day.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's good enough for me, right?
Right. So anyway.
Oh, that's incredible. And there's a quote, which I'm sure you know, if you knew how powerful your thoughts were, you would never have a negative thought ever again.
Ever again.
Because it does impact your chemistry, your biology, your DNA, and everything. Being able to tap into the healing properties that are already there through meditation is just phenomenal. So, yeah.
Aren't you proud of me? I didn't even talk about quantum physics.
That's good. We'll save that for another time.
Another time.
All right. So that's great, Rich. Thank you. I can't think of any other questions. Any other last comments before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I would say that we know, and the Bible tells us the kingdom of heaven is within, right? We are Elohims. We are one with our Creator. And the subconscious mind is where that kingdom exists. And if we want the fullness of heaven on earth, you've got to get to the kingdom. And that kingdom is most readily accessible in the subconscious mind, which the gateway, and one of the best gateways, is meditation. So something to think about.
No, amen on that. So 2 points on that is in Matthew, Jesus says, the kingdom doesn't come with observation. It is within. That's right. So that's where God's kingdom is. That's where heaven meets earth. And a perfect example of that was in the tabernacle in the Old Testament. This is when Moses was traveling through the wilderness. They had a tabernacle that was made of skin, animal skin, and there was an outer court, an inner court, and the Holy of Holies. And that is a perfect representation of our body and who we are. And that Holy of Holies is right here, and it's the dwelling place of God. And if you think it's closed and you can't go in there, that has been debunked, because guess what? When Jesus rose from the dead, or when he died, the veil was ripped in two from top to bottom. So now the Holy of Holies is open. We can come in and fellowship, and that's what we do with meditation. We go in, and if you remember, there's a mercy seat which had two cherubim that looked over the mercy seat, and right above the cherubim was where God dwelled. It was the spark of God, as Rich described it, and that's where we go when we go into meditation, into the Holy of Holies, into the two cherub, which is our mind, the two halves of our mind, and that's where God dwells, is right there. He's that close, and that's where he wants to be. He created us, he designed us so that he could live in us, through us, as us. There you go. Meditation reminds us of all of that. All right, yes. Fantastic. So just to wrap it up, my thought there is that prayer is the conscious, and it's a 24/7. You're waiting in line at a grocery store, you're with your kids, you're cooking dinner, you can pray and talk. Really, prayer is talk. It's a dialogue. It's a two-way thing. And it's running out of the conscious mind. Meditation is the subconscious mind. You're deliberately, intentionally setting aside a time of quiet, call it 15, 20 minutes, where you're going in, silencing, quieting, and basically your spirit and God's spirit. You're already united, but you're just reminding yourself that you're united. And it's like, yes, this is where the dwelling place of God is. I'm it.
That's right.
All right. Well, Rashi, Rich, thank you so much for spending the time this evening. For everybody that's joining us, you can access this on our YouTube. I'll be uploading it so that you can watch this again. We'll also post this on our Facebook. And if you have any questions about what we talked about, you can post them on the Facebook. And you can also go to our website at the100foldjourney.com. In there, this video will also be uploaded into there, and you can prayer requests, and you can send me an email or send us an email, which we'll gladly reply to. Okay. So with that said, thanks again, and bye for now.
Peace. All right. See you later.